What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. Today is September 25th. It is a Wednesday, and boom, this morning we talked about a possible pullback coming to crypto. And while there's been a very slight one in terms of price action, we've got ourselves a catalyst, and it's coming from none other than good old Gary Gensler himself. You think you get this guy into a box. You think that maybe he's kind of done the damage he can do, but never underestimate the powers of the Gary Gensler. He is now claiming that Bitcoin mining machines are securities. I wish I was joking. I really do. But this is legitimate. We're going to talk about this throughout the show. Is this going to stand? Will Hester Peirce come to the rescue of the crypto enthusiasts once again and stop this from happening? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more that affects your crypto investments. Do not go anywhere. Stick around for the entire show. Let's get 600 likes. We'll give someone $50 by the end of the show. Smash the like, hit subscribe. But first, we got to roll the intro.
Yeesh.
T-Shroom, I leave you alone for a couple of hours, and you can't curtail Gary Gensler from being Gary Gensler. I mean, I left him with you. He was your responsibility. What happened?
He slipped through the cracks, Tim. It won't happen again. I apologize.
I'm glad to hear it.
It's he's more slippery than he deserves, that Gary Gensler. But if you ask me how I'm doing, I might say I'm about as well as I deserve. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a good day, getting a lot done, going out of town tomorrow, so kind of getting our house ready. I don't know if people know this, but if you're not in the southeastern part of America right now, you might not know there's a hurricane a brewing. And to be fair, I actually myself didn't even know there was a hurricane coming until yesterday, right? I live in Atlanta, Georgia. We're not going to hit very hard. I think by the time it hits us, it's probably a tropical storm at best. But we still got to prep the yard. But T-Shroom...
Wait.
Those Floridians
Pause.
down there.
What does that mean to you? What does prep the yard mean to you, North Georgian?
Oh, you just got stuff like you have a play set sitting in the backyard, a couple different toys and things I got to pick up and make sure I get them into places where the wind can't send them through one of our windows, I guess is the best way to put that. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I understand that. A lot of folks here down in Florida, we are going ahead, boarding up the windows, getting the sandbags prepared. And by we, I mean everybody but your boy T-Shroom, because I've been through many hurricanes, and I'm on a streak. I've never had any damage to any buildings that I've lived in. Now I'm living in a different. Now I'm living in a different city than I have in Florida, so we'll see. But apparently, this city is actually more safe with hurricanes because it's really close to all the spaceships, and those spaceships can't have damage. And that's why they built it there. In case you didn't know. Might something in that theme might make its way into the factoid of the day one day. Maybe.
Interesting.
Perhaps.
Well, as I said, though, again, I'm going to be leaving town tomorrow. So T-Shroom, as long as he has power, should keep the show going the rest of the week. If he loses power, we will be back ASAP. But, storms are coming. If you guys are in any area in the Southeast that's going to get hit, make sure to take care of yourself, your family. Get prepared for it. Hurricanes are no joke. That being said, you know what is a joke? Gary Gensler, and we're going to talk about him today. But first, let's check in on our bubbles here, T-Shroom. Still a lot of green, right? So even though there's been a small pullback here today in crypto, not a big one yet. Again, I don't think the biggest part of the pullbacks happened. But we're still seeing a lot of green here in the last 24 hours, even more of a reason why I think these things are going to probably pull back here just a little bit. But again, big gainers in the last 24 hours since we were live yesterday. Say up 18%, WorldCoin 23%, Hex 12%, Popcat down here hiding itself 10.9%. Ondo is up 5.3%, Rune 6%, Mantra 6%. Chio still our only really big negative coin. Was down 20% this morning. Now it's only down 14.5%. But as a whole, a lot of things happening here with our altcoins still staying in the green, which means they really haven't necessarily suffered from that sell signal we were getting on the 4-hour chart this morning. If you're wondering what the heck I am talking about, let's go check out the charts and see what's going on here this morning. I'm not going to go into all of the coins we covered because we actually covered a lot of ground. If you want to go back and watch at least the beginning portion of our Wednesday morning stream this morning, you'll get yourselves some good signals because a lot of what we talked about, it still has room available for a good trade. That being said, guess what's happened here since this morning? This 4-hour chart that we're currently working in has also printed a sell signal here on the 4-hour chart. We have ourselves, if I can get there we go. We have ourselves a nice a bearish divergence. We have ourselves a good sell order with that reversal signal, a bearish momentum, and negative money flow coming in here on Bitcoin. But again, we also have this sell signal telling us that a revisit of this orange level of support on Bitcoin somewhere here around 62,000 should, in theory, be hit. Guess what else has kind of come? We're getting some confluence in here now, ladies and gentlemen. Recently, within the last couple of hours, we've also gotten a sell signal on the 1-hour chart. Guess where the take profit for that level begins? Around 62.4, back down towards this orange line. So we're seeing a lot of confluence come in that our prediction from this morning, while it hasn't played out perfectly just yet, more than likely will end up happening. Even over here, yes, we're getting some relief on a short term, but we're still seeing negative money flow on this 1-hour chart. We still, I believe, have further to go to the downside, but that is an encouraging sign on the 1-hour chart that we could get some form of a good little bounce off of this position. So all of our traders out there, maybe you're looking for a little bit of a move down here to 62. Then you're looking for maybe a pump back up. Look to take advantage of the volatility here in Bitcoin. But that's what we're looking at over on Bitcoin. Taking a look at some other coins. T-Shroom, let's take a look at a couple coins we did not get a chance to check out this morning. Let's check out Ondo. It was one of our top movers in those bubbles. It is going up here. Remember, we talked very significantly about 80 cents. Well, guess what, guys? This morning, we did kiss 80.7 cents on the mouth. Right there, that pink line. Why is that pink line so very important? Thank you for the sound effects, T-Shroom. Well, it would be the last major peak, major high for Ondo in this bear trend. If we can break above and get above here, we'll have broken that lower high and lower low trend. But unfortunately, we did end up rejecting right off. But what are the indicators saying to us? Let's take a look here a little more in depth at what we have going on. The oscillators are high and overextended. What do I mean by that? If we come in here and we look at, let's say, the RSI, we're kind of camping out in a range between being overbought up here at 70. We'll kind of cool off. We cool off once to 50, cool off a couple more times here towards 58. But as a whole, we're staying in the overbought territory. But this isn't screaming at me, we have to have some form of a massive correction here on the 4-hour chart. Same thing when I'm looking at the MACD. You guys can see this blue line. It's really, really high. In fact, it's the highest we've seen since the peak back in July, but it's not necessarily curling to the downside, saying that we're about to get some negative price action coming in. And then I come and look at the 4-hour chart, and yeah, we're looking at bearish divergence. If you take a look at the highs getting higher here on the price action, but the highs of our Luxembourg oscillator getting lower, that's classic bearish divergence, but that money flow is just moving perfectly sideways right now. The oscillators, just like the RSI, is staying kind of in the more overbought range, but not really cooling off whatsoever. Let's take a look to see, is there anything that our indicators are telling us could go a little bit higher here? We could actually make that move above 80 cents to head towards 83. But more importantly, what's our 1-hour chart telling us? Starting off with our oscillators. This is sideways as it gets. We're going to have a big move coming sooner or later. Our squeeze is getting tighter. But even back here, there's a slight bit here you could get away with saying this is a small sell order, but it's not one that I really, really like. We got the red reversal, negative momentum and negative money flow, but both of them just barely, and we're already, just after getting a sell signal, we're already getting a green reversal. I'm not shorting that whatsoever. Ondo is not a coin that I'm trading right now. Why? Because it's a little too high for me to say I want to long it any more to the upside, but it's also not necessarily on either the 4-hour or the hourly chart showing me a lot of weakness and saying that it's ready to correct and come back down. So let's continue to watch Ondo as it plays out. This is why you have long-term holds. Right now, I own a big bag of Ondo that I bought a while ago, and I'm just going to continue to hold on. And I don't even know if I'm necessarily in profit. I do think my average buy-in is probably a little higher than 80 cents. But here, just a couple of weeks ago, it was down at 54 cents. I am up in my portfolio since a couple of weeks ago, 47%. That's why you continue to hold on, even if you're not really sure how you want to trade a coin. What else? Let's do a couple others. Let's do one more. We'll do one more. Ondo. What do you guys want to take a look at today? Let's take a look at Say. Say, I feel like has had some good bubbles here more recently. We haven't done Say TA in a little minute. Let's go ahead and do Say, and then we'll transition into news. We will come back at the end of the show, though, and get some Q&A. If you guys have other coins you want to look at, save them till the end of the show, and we'll take a look. I want to start by going all the way out to the daily chart. Let's just evaluate what we've kind of been working with here on Say, because it has been a little while since we did some Say TA. First of all, we have broken here more recently a major trend, really depending on where you want to put this. Some people could say you could put it down here. I'm going to go ahead and just connect these two. Either way, we have broken through this trend. It's not quite perfectly a channel, I don't believe. You have a little bit of a slant in our support level. Let's change these colors. I'm going to make this support green. I'll make it blue. I think I've been making support blue, or make the resistance on this chart red. We have broken through it here more recently, back a couple of days ago on the 19th. This is very, very bullish. If this continues, you could see this move. Ooh, we got a nice explosive move. This could actually end up becoming. This could send the price of Say all the way back up here towards 85 cents from this breakout of this channel, right? So something that's very, very bullish. I'm not predicting it happens necessarily over the next couple of days, but it is something to keep an eye on. That is a very, very good sign. Let's take a look at what we have going on with our Lux Algo indicators. You can see here, after getting a beautiful buy signal from Lux Algo back on the 18th, we have not only just taken out our smart trail. If I come in here, let's turn this yellow block off. We broke through that red smart trail, which would have been a very good trade. Now we're heavily into our take profits from Lux Algo. More than likely, I would imagine a little bit of a pullback is coming, but we do have two strong levels of support even out here on the daily chart. The first one, this bullish breaker block coming in around 40 cents, right? So a small pullback to 40 cents could be something to keep an eye on. You have a smart trail way down here, back down towards 32 cents, all the way as low as 29 cents. A revisit of this red line is not necessarily a breaking of the bullish structure that's in play right here. As I said, this channel could be making a big move to the upside, but it would not be the first time that the channel were to pull back to resistance, form resistance first, turn it into support, and then make its move to the upside. So watch out for those two levels. To get more information, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Let's see what it is saying. Yeah, that's what I figured. 4-hour chart definitely overextended here, hitting its take profit, and I believe that would have been the second or third take profit on its recent buy signal back on the 18th. Our oscillator is not printing sell just yet. We do have a red reversal. We're getting a very good rounding of that oscillator. Same thing with the money flow. Excessive buyers in right now, rounding money flow. But until we officially get a descending level of money flow and a gray dot with this oscillator moving to the downside, this is not a sell signal on the 4-hour chart. But, keyword but here, there is a lot of signs we are ready to sell off. We're 100% overbought here on the 4-hour chart. RSI. Our MACD is extremely high, back in the area of wanting to curl over and go to the downside. In fact, you're seeing in the MACD a very small bending of the histograms. That the histograms are no longer bright or dark green; they're turning into bright green. That is a sign that it's losing momentum. I wonder if we're going to see something flash here on the 1-hour chart. Sure enough, that's exactly what we have going on here. If you were to go back, it's actually not a great sell signal. Let's see how long this took. I have a rule of 12 candles because we did get negative money flow here. Oh, I did not grab the tool. There we go. Let's do. So we have this reversal, 16. Now, the only thing I'll say here is, technically speaking, because of this bearish divergence in play, we actually could say that this trend starts right here on this dot. Do we get inside? Yeah, we do. 8. So by the skin of our teeth, we actually do have a sell signal here on the 1-hour Say chart. What does that mean? Well, it means more than likely Say, with a sell signal here as well, probably wants to pull back down towards its 1-hour smart trail. Bullish smart trail probably wants to kind of find that confluence with its take profit in the realm of 43 cents. When we hit that level, you might look for potentially a out of your short position trade, but then it's time to come back to the 4-hour chart and decide, Does the 4-hour chart officially flip into a bearish mode? Does it want to sell off, or is it going to continue the upside? In which case, you just bounce off that 43 and you keep on chugging to the upside. That's what we're seeing right now on Say. It's had a great run, but more than likely, I believe it's probably going to have some form of a small pullback with the rest of the crypto space today, based off what we're seeing on those shorter time frame charts. If you guys are enjoying the altcoin TA and you want to look forward to more of it later on, make sure to smash that like button so we know you do enjoy it. But it's now time to transition and get into some of these hard-hitting stories. The most important and most crucial one is Gary Gensler. T-Shirt, let's start off there. What exactly is going on? What is this chaos? Why is he back in the news? What does everybody need to know? Take it over.
Absolutely, Tim. Well, it's Gary, and he's Genslering yet again. It's what a Gensler does. The SEC says crypto mining devices are securities. There was a meme, and then we'll get to the details, but you have to watch this meme. Look at this meme. It says, is security in the room with us right now? Tim, that's pretty darn funny.
Yeah.
A comical, a humorous meme for our afternoon. The SEC has said that crypto mining devices are securities in its recent lawsuit against Gareen United. That's a weird word. Moreover, a federal court ruling has agreed with the stance. Indeed, the court ruled not to throw out a civil fraud suit. They claim the agency had adequately proven its stance on the investment contract status of crypto mining boxes. But it doesn't stop there, Tim. This is what Bitcoin mining looks like, just in case you all didn't know. According to the court, the SEC has sufficiently alleged a security in the form of green boxes, computer hardware coupled with a hosting agreement to operate the green boxes. The original lawsuit claims that Green United sold unregistered green boxes that made fraudulent promises. Tim, if this sounds like a bunch of craziness and gobbledygook and green boxes, that's because it is. But I do want to get your take here. How likely, based on this information, how likely do you think this is to actually end up having criminal enforcement on publicly traded companies like CleanSpark, Marathon Digital, who operate multi-million-dollar mining operations? Is this just the beginning? Do we not know enough? What are your thoughts here so far?
I hope that it's an issue of a misunderstanding of what he's saying. Maybe he specifically, if you go back to that story, I didn't see that story. Let me ask the question. Is he saying that all Bitcoin mining, or is he saying specifically this one company and how they offered it is a security? I guess another way to put this, would he consider, if I were to personally, I wouldn't do this because I don't have the best price for electricity, but if I were to buy a miner for myself, store it in my garage, be mining Bitcoin, is that considered a security, or is he only talking about potential services where I own a bunch of miners, but I allow other people to buy or pay me to mine for them, in which case I'm depending upon the work or services of somebody else to create some sort of net profit? Where is it clear where he's putting the parameters of this statement?
Yeah. It's not clear. I wouldn't say it's clear. What I would say is that what has happened here, in my estimation, is that a case has made it to the next stage. That stage is the SEC, like you said, Tim. The SEC is not bringing the entire mining industry to court, right? What they're doing is they're bringing to court a specific mining company, right, that may or may not have committed fraud, right? Completely sovereign, completely separate from Bitcoin mining operations that are not fraud, that are completely legitimate. But the SEC is being, I would say, widely interpreted here by the media, right? We're seeing a lot of this headline circulating around. What I think is more than likely to be clarified here in the coming days is that it's not the Bitcoin miners, the ASICs that we know about that are over at, like I said, CleanSpark, Marathon Digital, Core Scientific. Right, those are not securities, but they can be sold in a way that could constitute securities. I think that is a little bit more of like a legal playground, right? It's somewhere where they could end up in an end zone where this specific company, Green Boxes, was able to do something illegal. And, there's no shortage of fraud in crypto, that's for sure, especially when it comes to mining, right? But fraud is different from Bitcoin miners in general that are being used by publicly traded companies those being fraud, because they're not, right? I think the media has taken this one and kind of ran with it based on my estimation here. But, Gary Gensler, if he could find a way to make it to where Bitcoin mining equipment is a security, I'm sure that he's thinking about that right now. But I think it's going to fall flat. We shall see. But overall, one thing we could check is the Bitcoin mining stocks. I'll jump over there real quickly.
Yeah.
And we can just kind of see how they're trading today. The market is not closed quite yet. I've got Bitcoin on my screen, but if I pull up Riot, it's not selling off, right? CleanSpark, they're down on the day, but they're not selling off. This is the daily charts. Marathon, Bitfarms, right? So, right, if we were, if the market was actually, because the market is a front-running mechanism, right? If I think that this is really going to impact mining companies, then I would short this stock, right? And I would certainly sell off my stocks in Bitcoin companies. Then I'm not speaking this hypothetically. This is something that I've actually considered, right? I have a lot of CleanSpark stock, right? So the fact that I've got Bitfarms pulled up right now it's not even down 20% on this news, right? You would expect that if it was going to have to get shut down in the millions of dollars of Bitcoin mining equipment that it's invested in, all of that becomes fraud, criminal material, like contraband, like illegal drugs, right? Then that's pretty crazy. You would see a huge sell-off, and we're just not seeing it, Tim. So I do think that this is a real case, right? The SEC is bringing a real company to a real court, and the judge has ruled in favor of the SEC here. But that doesn't mean that miners are securities. It means that the way that this company, Green Boxes, was selling miners may have been fraud. Whether or not they're securities is probably going to have to get to an appellate court, or it'll fizzle out and these guys are going to pay the penalty regardless. And it's not going to matter. It's not going to have a regulatory implication. So, and if it does, it's absolutely going to go to an appellate court and die there, like the XRP case, like the Coinbase case, like so many cases that we could name here in crypto. But that's my interpretation of it, Tim. Am I missing something here? Could there be a way that Gary could worm his way back in to the detriment of the crypto industry?
I think this is going to be one to, it's kind of breaking news within the last couple of hours. So we're not to let it kind of play out a little bit more to see exactly what he means. Because even though I think it'd be stupid, there's a level of if he's leaving it at simply the services that have people pay them to mine, and then you get to keep the Bitcoin yourself, then I still think it's dumb. But there's at least an element of saying, all right, you know what? Could you stretch the details to say that counts as security? Maybe. If it's open on all Bitcoin mining machines, CleanSpark, Mara, Riot, if it's just open and pretty much pushing them out of the United States, this would be one of the dumbest attacks that Gary Gensler has done just yet. We literally just finished this morning, T-Shroom, talking about how he really isn't attacking Bitcoin, but he attacks other cryptocurrencies. Now, all of a sudden, he is attacking Bitcoin by going after the mining companies, or at least certain mining companies. Let's find out more details, I guess. We'll kind of fill you guys in as those details come out. What I did want to say here, T-Shroom, everyone should be keeping an eye on, I'm looking at CleanSpark TA right now. This is a level, we haven't done CleanSpark TA here in a little minute, but we did have a drawing, kind of a prediction. We would come back down here towards 718. This is a long-term trend line. This blue line, a long-term trend line that we have been touching as support several times since the bottom back here in December of 2022. And then when you zoom in here, you will see that more recently we've had two different rising channels right here. I mean, that's what you need to keep an eye on. Let's see what I want to grab. There we go, right here. You guys can see right in here. This is a rising channel on CleanSpark right here. These traditionally break to the downside, same as what we just had back in here not that long ago. You have these rising levels of support and resistance. They break to the downside. One more good break to the downside on CleanSpark could make a lot of sense. Back to a key level of support somewhere here in the range of 732. I believe if you pull up Luxalgo as well, we're within our take profit range at the moment. There is the lower level at 756. So could that kind of draw out here over the next couple of days? Could we get that support level we kind of talked about before? I think so. The good news is this is still a much, much longer scale. If you were to go out here to the weekly chart, I showed you guys, but much longer scale of higher highs and higher lows here for CleanSpark. I still think as the bull market heats up, this is going to be a stock that goes up, up, up and to the right. But in the short term, maybe a small correction still, just a little bit lower, and then we should be ready to take off into the bull market there for CleanSpark. That being said, let's go ahead and transition. Let's keep going in here. What else do we have going on in the news today, T-Shroom? We might have a lot of time today for Q&A, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, real quick before we get out of this mining section, we've actually got an expert miner here in the chat, Retro Mike Tech. He's been spending a lot of time with us in the spaces, jumping in there, having a lot of time, a lot of good time. Retro Mike said this: the suit is because they were issuing tokens on a blockchain that they guaranteed price to increase over time in lieu of giving them the Bitcoin that was being mined. It was a very one-off scenario.
So this is a very specific
Yep. And
case.
Then provides further clarification here, replying to Matt C. They created a green token and stated the value would increase if held, hence the security clause kicking in. Right. So that's the distinction with tokens versus securities, is that there's no guarantee that these prices are going to go up and to the right. They just tend to, right? The market just likes these, but it's not it's not a law. Okay, so thank you so much, Retro Mike, for chiming in. If there's any other clarifications, you're more than welcome to drop that in the chat, and we'll probably show that. Tim, we've got a little bit too little, too late story here. German Parliament member Joanne Cotard said she will be passing out some Bitcoin for beginner books in Parliament. Well, sweetheart, you should have done this probably in April, right? Before the Germans started selling off all their Bitcoin. At least now they know what they're missing out on. I don't know.
I did hear that there was a new batch of Bitcoin confiscated by the German government. We'd have to look in on that to see their wallet. But I heard a rumbling, I think last week, that they had confiscated more Bitcoin. So maybe she's trying to educate them for the second round. Because if you guys go back to that news, some of you might not have been around for it. That was a huge fiasco here a couple of months ago. What date was that? Let me go look here real quickly, because I think I remember which correction it was. I want to say it was this one back in June, right? I think it was June period that Germany was selling off their Bitcoin in bulk, and the reason for it was because they have some form of a mandate that they can only hold an asset that was confiscated for so long before they are forced to sell it, right? There was a lot of confusion about that. Ultimately, it was almost like their hands were tied. Maybe it's time, Germany, to get rid of that law. And if you do ever confiscate Bitcoin in some form of a crime ring of any type, hold that sucker for a long time, and maybe you can help your government with a lot of that debt problem that everybody in the world has. Hopefully, what's this lady's name?
Her name is German Parliament member Joanna Cotard.
All right, well, Joanna, we're rooting for you.
Yeah.
Knock some sense into people over there. Welcome, Eric Lai, to the Bros YouTube members. Guess what, Eric? If you work on it while we're going live, right after today's stream, we have our bro time over in Discord. It is for all of our members, even our YouTube members. That's once a week, Wednesdays, right after the show. We always have a blast in our conversation. But welcome to the memberships, Eric. Glad to have you in here. All right, T-Shroom, let's keep going. Any other stories we have for today?
There's only one more. It is a bit spicy, so we're gonna jump into it, and then we're going to get into Q&A. So go ahead and drop your questions, and we'll get to those on the other side of the factoid of the day. If you don't keep the questions coming, we might end the stream early, but go ahead and get those questions in. They can be any kind of questions too. It doesn't just have to be technical analysis or crypto related. You could ask us what kind of beard lotion that Tim uses, and he may give you the keys to the kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I guess just gentlemen. We've tracked 21 statements on crypto from the real Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump's account, and he's rated strongly supportive. This is from Stand With Crypto. VP Harris recently made a somewhat supportive statement, and we've added it to our card. Major candidates weighing in on crypto would have been unthinkable even recently. We're winning. So very, very... look, this is going to be something where people don't want it to be bullish. It's bullish, right? Some people do not like Kamala Harris, understandably so to some extent, right? There's 50% of people that like one candidate and 50% that like the other. It's a neck and neck race in case you haven't seen the betting odds recently. But Stand with Crypto is a company. It's an organization that it's a grassroots advocacy hub to empower crypto users, builders, and supporters to make themselves heard, right? And they have very close ties to Coinbase. In fact, I think Coinbase is kind of like, the main funder of this nonprofit. So, they're given. Now, she's not at the same level as Donald Trump. She's not getting an A rating, but she has gotten a.
She got a B.
She got a B. She has gotten a rating in general. So, it's better than nothing. And there are a lot of politicians that don't have anything. Up until now, she's had nothing, right? She's had no rating, but according to Stand with Crypto, she now deserves that B. Some of you are going to hear that and you're going to be like, I hate that. I hate, right? But the reality is it's bullish, right? Because now either side, think about it like this. Think about it without the names, without the politics. There is an event happening on November 5th that I believe objectively is an important event for the future of asset markets, right? In the short to midterm, will asset prices go up and down? Well, a pretty good predictor of that is who gets elected, right? This just signaled to the market, hey, either outcome of the November 5th event could be bullish for Bitcoin and could be bullish for crypto as well. So that's the way to read this, bros. If you're reading this and you're getting passionate, I understand. However, it's still bullish. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I'm going to transition into a question we have, and we'll get into Factoid here in a day. But let's pontificate on this question from Pew Pew Cruz. He said, Tim and T. Shroom, thoughts on the state of the world today as compared to your childhood? Now, just so you guys know, in case you're newer here, I would not call T. Shroom and myself a couple of spring chickens. We're 30 years old. I think there's a lot of people in here listening who maybe have a couple of years on us. There's probably a couple people who maybe are a little younger than us. We're not crazy young, but we're not crazy old either. But, I was actually just having a conversation with my childhood best friend last night, talking about the world and where we are and just what it takes to make it in this day and age. When I was little, so those who don't know about me, I was raised in a homeschool Christian family. We had a massive homeschool group. When people say, Tim, were you socially awkward? I don't know why people think homeschoolers are like, stop. Okay. Put the picture down. That is not what it looked like at all. All right. So we had a huge group of like 400 families in our area that were also homeschooled. We had homeschool teams that played like private schools. We had sports. We hung out. We did things all the time. Anyway, my story is homeschool Christian family, single income household. My mom, of course, to homeschool 5 kids, had to stay home. Did not work a job. My dad supported our family with one income. I'm not going to say that we were like these wealthy individuals who just did whatever we want to do with money. We went on vacations. We went and saw family that lived up north. We would do things like I participated in high school in a thing called speech and debate, which had tournaments all around the U.S., and we would travel to go to these tournaments. And, of course, that takes money, right? So I didn't grow up impoverished or with not that much money. But we also didn't have like a whole heck of a lot of money. My dad, I remember talking with him here a couple years ago, the most money he ever made was $90,000 in 1 year. Now, when we were kids, T-Shroom,
yes,
even you and me, $90,000 was good money. It was very good money. Not necessarily the wealthiest of the wealthiest, not high end of the middle class, but my dad was successfully able to raise a family of 7 on 90K. And we had a very good childhood. I guess I would put it that way.
Yep. That
is impossible today. In fact, I think I saw a recent study that in 2018, to own a home, for example, to have the finances to buy a house and get approved for a loan, you needed your household income to be somewhere in the world of at least $75,000. All right. Wow. This day and age, there are a lot of dual income households. That's not necessarily hard to do. If you fast forward to right now, the average income household, the income for the household has to be to own a home. And we're not talking about a mansion. We're not talking about like a 6-bedroom, 4,000 square foot. We're talking about a just normal little 3-2, 4-2, 2,500 square feet. You can have a family of 4 or 5 and be okay. $115,000 per family. That is the world we live in. We live in a world where when we grew up, I think people made it off of like $30,000 a year, raising an entire family. Now we're actually at the rate where it's over 100,000. The world has changed financially a whole lot. Here's where I'll say the world has not changed, and it hasn't changed for a long time. There's a lot of good people in this world, and there's a lot of evil in this world, and a lot of times evil seems to prosper, and that's the good reason why my hope when I was a child and now as I'm a 30-year-old man has never been in the world, has never been in politics. As much as I love crypto and I'm investing in crypto, my hope is not in crypto. My hope is in a much brighter future because of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's where my faith, Amen. My hope is always going to be. The world is different in some situations and obviously the same in a lot of other situations. The ultimate goal is, as long as I am here, I will do the best I can to try as hard as I can to make this a good place for people until my time runs up, until I'm called home to my real home. I'm going to work as hard as I can to fix some of these problems, but a lot of them, they are big and they're getting worse and worse every single year. T-Shroom, anything you want to say? Anything you noticed very different between when you were a child and right now?
Politics isn't boring. You know, that's something that I say a lot is, and I've been saying it since 2015, right? In the lead up to the 2016 elections, of which Donald Trump won. I said, make politics boring again, right? Because so many people are getting caught up in the frenzy of the tribalism of politics. Is politics important? Yes. Is it important to you? It should be, right? But the reality is that people don't care about their local politics, and yet they care a lot. They treat it like, you know, a baby's dying, the federal politics, right? That is just, it's inappropriate because local politics affects you so much more, right? Mm-hmm. So what is my expectation? My expectation is that people don't get involved in local or federal politics, right? Eventually, when politics gets boring again. But right now, politics is not C-SPAN, right? Politics is ESPN. It's what everybody's focused on, and there's a lot of money to be made in the political industrial complex. Tim, I've pulled up a cool thing to show you. This is 100 famous homeschoolers. So we're going to get into it here.
There's a lot of us.
James Madison. Now, there's a lot of founding fathers on here. George Washington, Woodrow Wilson, Andrew Jackson. We're going to skip ahead.
I'll say a lot of those had to do with there was no formalized public school system at the time, so everyone was homeschooled.
Abraham Lincoln, Leonardo da Vinci, Claude Monet, Eli Whitney, Thomas Edison.
Now, I say, some of these people that were getting into the realm of there was a public school system. They could have gone to school, but they didn't.
George Patton, Robert E. Lee. Okay, so you're among the ranks of Robert E. Lee. Stonewall Jackson, Agatha Christie, Charles Dickens, C.S. Lewis, Robert Frost, the poet, Beatrix Potter, the author, Louis Armstrong, famous
Taylor Swift was homeschooled. I did
Taylor
not know
Swift.
She was homeschooled.
See, now there's the head scratcher. Whoopi Goldberg. So
where's Tim Tebow on this list?
Charlie Chaplin, Benjamin Franklin, a lot more. Frank Lloyd Wright, Winston Churchill, Joan of Arc, Tim Tebow. There we go. So
number 56.
Susan B. Anthony.
Venus and Serena Williams. Guys, some of the greatest athletes ever to exist were homeschooled.
Mark Twain. Robert Browning. Folks, bros, it's looking better and better to just go ahead and homeschool your kids.
Where does Tim Warren show up on this list?
Wouldn't that be crazy? Justin Timberlake. Selena Gomez. The Jonas Brothers.
Well, okay, let's just be fair. They weren't homeschooled in the same way. They were homeschooled because they were child stars who couldn't go to a public school. So while they were on sets of movies and TV shows and whatnot, they had a private tutor that did their schooling.
Yeah, sure. Way to ruin it for the homeschool
we don't claim
community,
that.
Tim.
We homeschoolers do not claim the Disney stars. That's not real homeschooling. Real homeschooling, it's legit. It works. Listen, I grew up not thinking I was going to homeschool my kids. You would have to do something very drastic in even the private school system today to convince me and my wife not to homeschool Brody and our future children. That's my plan fully moving forward. And again, just so you guys know also, in case you're a little tidbit out there are certain colleges even, and I'm not talking about like little college you never heard of. There are high-level colleges who actually prefer homeschool children because the graduation rate of homeschoolers in college is higher than the public school system. So little knowledge out there. If you guys are thinking about it, you're on the fence, I encourage you. Let's go homeschooling.
Zachary Martin said Tim Warren would show up above Tim Tebow on this list, but he didn't.
But I
so would have, could have. Let's see. We got a couple more questions here, Tim. Got a couple super chats. Have we read both the super chats yet?
Oh, I mean, I think we just flowed right through them. I guess I didn't see them.
Corey Tweed, big Corey Tweed, jumped in donating $5. He said he didn't say anything. He just said from Corey. Thank you, Corey Tweed. A little bit of tweed is all you need.
Yeah.
What's that from? I don't know. This is from anything.
I
Carlos
C
said, "Your thoughts on Spell Token? It is a good buy? ? And will you be able to chart it?" I can say you will be able to chart it.
I don't know if I will or not. I don't love. I've never heard of it.
As a homeschooler, how does it feel to hear the word spells?
Yeah, it gives me that flashback. Don't watch Harry Potter. It's evil.
Yeah. Yep.
Spell Token. I want to start off. Thank you, Carlos, for the super chat. Please be responsible with your investing. T-Shroom and I have not studied this one. I don't know if Crux has or not. I don't know a whole lot about the fundamentals whatsoever. What I can do is I can take a look at the long-term charts and kind of tell you what I'm looking at. But that doesn't mean that this is a good long-term investment. What I'm noticing right here, we kind of have been in a falling channel of types. When you kind of zoom out here on the daily chart, we did come back down recently, revisiting bear market lows from back in August of 2023, but so is a lot of the altcoin space. So I can't hold that against Spell necessarily. But let's take a look at what the indicators are saying. Recent buy signal that should at least send us back up here. Let's see, 3 zeros and a 7-0 back into our smart trail on a major order block. If I look at the oscillators, we had a good buy signal way back here, I want to say, right back in here. That's going to probably be good enough right there with positive money flow. Back on August 20th, it's been decent since then. I mean, it's been going to the upside. I guess August 20th, I said we didn't get that buy signal here. We had a pullback. Yeah, there's not necessarily everything you want to see on this chart that you're seeing on some other altcoins, but I would say it'll move back up towards 3 zeros and then a 7. Kind of looks likely here. There's take profit up above. If we do ever break through that red resistance level and keep going to the upside, you could have a much larger move. In fact, let's take a look at where that breakout could be on the longer term. It could be something like this, back up to these more recent highs, maybe even a little higher towards 0.002. But again, I know nothing about this coin, know nothing about the fundamentals. Could be a great token, could be an evil token because it has the word spell. Ooh. Do your own research, find out if the fundamentals are good there, and then use the charts to be able to know where to invest, where to buy, where to sell. Cali to Texas giving a super chat, $10. Thank you so much. Said, Tim, you said in the live this morning that out of the 3 scenarios of the bull top for Bitcoin, you are leaning towards 350K. Well, I didn't say that in the live. That was in my price prediction video, but that point being mute. What about an early top? Big money cashes in the retail left bag holders. So, Cali to Texas, you're referencing our Bitcoin price prediction video we just put out this week. It's our updated one. I highly recommend you guys go watch it. We're going to be making some more of those here in the next couple of weeks. The outline, though, is I play out a scenario. First of all, I want people to know there will be some form of a local top based off of history sometime in April of 2025. I'm not saying that's the top of the bull market, but there will be a localized top. We'll have some form of a pullback, 20, 30%. Then, if the history repeats itself with the 4-year cycle, we should top out again in October of 2025. And history would say that's the top of the bull market, sell off. But in my video, I talk about the early prediction, the April potential top. I talk about the 4-year cycle top in October, but I also talk about the concept of an extended bull market into the end of 2026, in which case Bitcoin could go all the way to $350,000. And then I ranked my order of what I think the most likely probability is. And despite the fact that I know a lot of people are not necessarily bullish right now on the economy, we haven't been bullish on the American economy in a while, despite the fact that data points keep showing that we're actually doing well. I think that we're actually able to extend and have a normalized bull market into late next year. But here's where I'll tell you guys, if I was ranking my order of a top happening in April of 2025, October of 2025, or December of 2026, in the video, I do say I think the most likely outcome is that the 4-year cycle is broken, that this wave and this bull market, which is massively being run by institutional money, which is we've never seen that happen in the history of Bitcoin. If every retail investor is convinced the 4-year cycle is still intact and they plan on taking profits in November, the most likely scenario is either an early top or a late top. But I don't put a high probability on the 4-year cycle staying intact. So for that reason, my number one prediction, my most likely outcome is that we actually have an extended bull market while retail and people who perceive themselves as experts continue to stay on the sideline thinking that a recession is coming. It's coming. Institutions use the October top scenario to convince retail investors who have held on to sell all of their Bitcoin. Then they can scoop it up and rally a bull market into late 2026 before an actual recession comes probably in 2027. So my most likely outcome is this bull market actually runs into 2026. My second most likely scenario is that we have an early top right there in April of 2025. We'll have to kind of watch and see what's happening in that timeline, but we'll kind of monitor that. But the third of the scenario is that the 4-year cycle stays intact and we end up going all the way into October of 2025. We'll wait and see. I'm not saying that I don't have a crystal ball that tells me perfectly what's going to happen. What I do know, though, is there will be some form of a local top in April. If we keep rallying, there will be some form of a local top in October because people will sell off based on the 4-year cycle. But the question is it a minor pullback? And then the institutions buy up the dip and we continue into more of a bull run all the way into late 2026. That's what I think could be on the table. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Corey Tweedy said it deleted my message when I paid. Can you look at LRT? LRT. What is LRT? Land Rocker over USDT. It's giving me MEXC chart. All right, I'll tell you this right now. This is not going to be a terrible chart. In fact, this formation that's being formed right now is very, very bullish. Let's turn this one down here blue. This pattern, ladies and gentlemen, I just drew a falling level of support, that blue line, a falling level of resistance, this red line, but it's constricting into a wedge formation. This is what we call a falling wedge or a descending wedge, and traditionally, these end up breaking to the upside. The length of the opening, moving over to the last major support touch. This could send LRT back up to 0.003138. So from a formation, if you're a formation trader, looking at this major pullback right there, that's the breakout pattern that some people are going to have on their trade setups here for LRT. This is the daily chart. I'm not talking about this breakout happening by the end of the week or anything. This is a couple of weeks or a month or two away, but it is something to keep an eye on. When I turn on my Luxalgo indicators, this coin's not very old, so the daily chart really not that helpful other than the fact that you do have the smart trail and the order block in that same area here on the daily chart as that breakout prediction. That's actually a very good sign. The last time we touched that smart trail was way back in August of 2024. It's about time we start making moves to the upside there as well. What's our oscillator saying here? We've been mostly overextended, had bullish divergence, continue to play out. I know it's not printing right there, but as we've set these lower lows in our price action, we keep setting lower or higher lows in the oscillators. That's what we call bullish divergence. So I think a big move coming for Land Rocker, LRT. Again, I'll specify, I do not know anything about the fundamentals here. If this project's about to die, then don't invest in it. But if it has a promising future, market cap sitting at 1.8 million.
Very small. Very, very, very small.
Yeah. This is one I would say, and after this, we're going to do our factoid today and then do more Q&A. Do not invest a serious portion of money into this. What do I mean? I don't care if your total investment is $1,000 or $1 million. Do not even put 1% of your portfolio into this project. This is the kind of project you throw like $20 in and you say, hey, if something special happens, that $20 could turn into $1,000, right? It could. That's how small of a market cap it is. If it's legitimate, it could happen. But if it goes to zero, it's just $20, right? That's the kind of feeling I have about a project like this. When I looked at his tokenomics, when I look at his charts, I'm not saying it's impossible to go up. And if it does go up, we have a lot of room to the upside. But it is no guarantee. It is so small and so new. It could be gone just like that. And in fact, if you look at this T-Shroom, I mean, other than its initial launch on MEXC, it's been nothing but downward since its existence, right? So people believe in it. It could make them push back. But if you asked me, Tim, if I'm going to make a bet on this coin making it long-term or not, the odds are not necessarily in its favor, at least what I'm looking at here on the charts. So do with that information what you will. Continue to do your own research on that project, though, if you want to look to invest in it. But I urge you, do not go nuts with any type of large investment whatsoever. T-Shroom, we got more questions in chat. We have some coins people are asking us. I've seen people want us to take a look at Caspa. Earlier, people asked about Injective. I think I see someone asking about Pepe. We'll maybe throw Pepe in there. We don't do a lot of meme coins, but maybe we'll take a look at Pepe. Let's get to our factoid of the day, and then we'll kind of wrap up the show with a couple more of these Q&As.
Tim, the factoid of the day is brought to you all by Blofin. If you're looking for a great place to trade, go check out Blofin in the link down below. Tim, how long is the term for the chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission? Is it A, 2 years, B, 3 years, C, 4 years, or is it D, Tim, 5 years? What is the answer?
I have no idea. Obviously, I don't think it's only 2 years. I'm kind of thinking this is like an odd year thing. I don't think it's a 4 or 2. I'm kind of split between 3 and 5. But I would imagine they want some continuity in here. So I'm going to lean towards D, 5 years. I could be wrong. I could be just butchered this completely and it ends up being 4. But I think 2 or 3 is a little too small. And for some reason, I think this might be a weird one where they go to an odd number.
He's locking it in, folks. But is he right? He is.
Oh! I was second-guessing myself because after I locked in my answer, I pulled back up the chat, and it seems like a lot of people wanted me to go for C. I will say Matt and Turd Ferguson definitely had me at 5. Like they were rocking with me at 5. So thank you guys. But some other people saying C. Listen, is that it's Wednesday, so I've gotten 2 of the 3 right. Right? The rules of the engagement here to do a giveaway at the end of the week is 3 answers have to be given correctly. I will be out the rest of this week, but Crux of Crypto will be taking my place for the rest of the week. It is Crux against the Factoid Elf. I've set him up very well because he only needs to get one of his 2 or 3 options. I don't know if there's going to be a Saturday morning show or not. This also will depend on what happens with the storm and what's happening with T-Shroom. But Crux, if you're listening, I've set you up correctly. You only got to get one right. You have some room for error, and we can still do a $50 giveaway by the end of the week for one of our listening members. All right, T-Shroom, let's do some. Oh, you had something else?
The president appoints one board member to serve as chair. Commissioners serve 5-year terms, which are staggered so that one member's term ends on June 5th every year. So that part's not for the. That's not part is only for the commissioners. For the chairman, the president appoints them. So that is absolutely going to be up to Donald Trump if he gets elected, or Kamala Harris, whether or not Gary Gensler gets reappointed for another 5-year term. And
again, the rumor is I think his time as chairman of the SEC is coming to a close because I think a Donald Trump presidency gets rid of him. And a Kamala Harris presidency potentially is getting promoted to Secretary of Treasury.
Correct. Yep.
So,
and what
more
I will
than
point
likely,
out,
his time is coming to a close.
There was some questioning if the SEC has a board. According to Ballotpedia, it is a board member. So, and that's what I thought, because when you have a chairman, that's a chairman of what? Chairman of a board, right? So, and on the board are commissioners and directors. So, Everybody can be right. Tim, what else are we seeing here?
Well, again, we're going to do some charts here. Caspa and Injective are ones for sure.
Okay.
If you see a good question in between that is unrelated to charts, let me know. We'll answer that as well. Let's take a look at Caspa, though. People have been asking about Caspa here for a while. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. We're going to do some redrawing here on Caspa. We tracked this the other day. Let's turn this blue. This is going to be blue because it's a rising level of support. Yes, we have a couple of wicks on the daily chart that kind of stick out down below it back here on the dip of May 3rd, but several touches on this trend line. You could even make an argument that we really should do it more like this, where it's more of a zone. Let's get rid of that line right there. Fun fact about technical analysis, we always love to draw trend lines, but rarely do things perfectly touch trend lines. It's always a zone. And in this case, we have a nice supportive zone on Caspa that is a good level to buy here more recently as we've been setting these higher highs and higher lows. Now, going back here, let's go back to the peak of February. Instead of going back to the peak of November 2023, let's go back to the peak of February, and you'll see that we have more. Let's do the same zone process here because it looks like it's what's more appropriate. You got a nice little zone right here of resistance. This is technically a rising wedge. Earlier, we talked about a falling wedge and what that means for actually being bullish. In this case, I'm not bearish on Caspa, but I am not going to sugarcoat the TA for you. In theory, this could/should be a bearish formation eventually for Caspa. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, and we have seen so many times in the world of crypto where formations do not play out the way they should, and price ends up breaking through resistance going to the upside, which I actually think is probably, from a fundamental perspective, the most likely outcome. But it is something I want to just make sure people understand. Technically, here on these longer time frames, we are in a small rising wedge pattern. To break this and to get bullish, we need Caspa to get above this blue zone, use it as support, and make a move to the upside. What I noticed here, I don't know if anyone else sees it at the moment, if you've been doing in-depth Caspa TA, but I noticed this just from looking at it. Let's go over here and take a look at a lower time frame, the 4-hour chart. But we absolutely have it here. It's weird, but we have ourselves the formation at the moment. If Caspa is able to kind of hold on to these localized levels, we have ourselves the beginnings of a inverse head and shoulders pattern right there. This would be absolutely huge for Caspa because if it played out, we have a neckline sitting right in here. I'm actually going to go kind of horizontal with this and go to this peak over here. This would give us a breakout of Caspa. If we are right about this, a move up above that resistance going to 22.2 cents would be massive, not only because that's a big gain at the moment, but also because that would be breaking that level of resistance, that zone of resistance. Now, we haven't officially set this as a right shoulder. We need to make sure that this is actually going to round up and come to the upside. For that, let's take a look at what Luxalgo is saying here. We did some mixed feelings here on the 4-hour chart. Got a buy signal here, yesterday? And then this morning, we're getting a sell signal. This sell signal wants to send the price of Caspa all the way back towards 15 cents. That is something we kind of talked about, I think, the other day as a potential as well. What about the daily chart? Daily chart, take profit still up above us. But again, with that support down here, would not be a problem whatsoever to come back down towards 15, set ourselves a nice little lower or higher low, and then continue to the upside. But that would break out of that inverse head and shoulders pattern. Take a look at our oscillators. Let's see what they are saying. The oscillators are definitely overextended, and that's a good sign, but they're not flashing buy just yet. Even though we've gotten some reversals recently, some major momentum dots flashing the upside, that's pretty aggressive downward momentum in our money flow. So what we need to happen is we need this money flow to keel back up and over, but that doesn't mean it's happening right now. We could easily see this oscillator make another move back down, set in a higher low, that's fine, and then it reverses, and then we get our buy signal later on. So I'm not entering any longs here on Caspa, despite the fact that I like what I'm seeing for a longer term perspective, but in these shorter terms, 4 hours and down, not necessarily what I want to see to be confident. We could be coming back down towards 15 cents easily here based off of these indicators. Let's just check the 1-hour chart. Let's see what it's saying here before I move on. Yeah, even the 1 hour is bearish at the moment. Take profits conservatively at 15.6, low end 15.3. Last thing I'll do here, and we'll move on from Caspa. It's been a minute since we did these. Let's go to symbols because I want to just take a look at things as a whole. Do we have Caspa on here? Yes, we do. Thank the Lord. Where's our liquidation? Here on the 24-hour. Liquidation is at 15.7. 15.6 is where it kind of gets boring. Let's go a couple more days, though. Let's go 3 days here and see if it's telling us anything more as far as liquidations. Major liquidations back up at 17 cents. That's awesome. But down here, that 15.7. There's something about those liquidations at 15.7. The higher end of this take profit on the 1-hour chart looks like it's the next move for Caspa. If that happens, let's just kind of do this. Let's pretend we come here and we make a bounce here. What does that look like on the daily chart? Let's get rid of Luxalgo. that would still count as an inverse head and shoulders pattern. It would be about the same depth as a lot of this left shoulder over here. So, all right, I think as long as we kind of bottom out somewhere here in the realm of 15.7, 15.6, I think this inverse head and shoulders pattern could stay alive as a possibility for a bullish move on Caspa. But there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside. And again, if the momentum picks up, we're still looking at a move back down towards 15 cents as the next level of support if 15.7 is lost. That's our Caspa T8 right there. Injective was the next one somebody asked for. While I'm looking at that, T-Shroom, anything you see in chat that's interesting that you want to look at before you look at Injective?
No, I think we're good. I think that TA is quite tantalizing. So let's get into Injective.
I gotta look it up over here. I guess I'm not following it as one of my preferred follows on TradingView, so I need to change that. Let's take a look at what we have going on here with Injective. Falling level of resistance here more recently does look like it got broken. I'm going to start here. That's a very obvious 3-touch area. Does that connect perfectly up top? It does. All right, perfect. Beautiful. Let's turn that red just so we know that is resistance right there. This right here is going to be a form of a falling wedge pattern. Let's just kind of come in right in here. Yeah, channel, falling wedge. Either way you cook it up. This right here would be the opening and the breakout prediction. Well, actually, it's kind of important that we know. I'm going to say this is more of a channel. We're going to be a little more aggressive here. This breakout could be setting the price of Injective in the long term. Again, we're not talking about the next couple of days, not talking about the next couple of hours, talking about weeks, months. $47 back up towards those highs we had back in March of this year. So keep yourself posted on that. Let's turn this one blue so it has support when we come back here and take a look at it. But breaking through that red level, breaking that resistance line is very, very important. Remember, though, I've said this on this show before, it's not uncommon to, I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm just letting you guys know, it's not uncommon to come back down, turn former resistance into support, and then bounce and make a move to the upside. Let's see what the charts are saying about the next move here for Injective. We are running into both an order block and our daily smart trail. Yes, we had buy signals back in here. In fact, if you were looking at our oscillators, I guarantee you, yep, right back here, a buy signal back on September 5th. Oh, beautiful buy signal for a longer term move, but you're only really guaranteed with a 90% probability of a move back up to the smart trail. So now the question becomes, can we keep breaking up to the next level to our take profit up at $27? That's a tall order right there. Or is it time to come back down? The daily chart's not saying to sell, but that money flow is keeling over, going down. We do have a red reversal. We just still have positive oscillators. For this, we got to go to our lower time frame around the 4-hour chart and see what it is cooking up for us. Now, short term, we've bounced off the 4-hour smart trail. It got a recent buy signal from Luxalgo with a take profit back up here towards $24. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. What about our oscillator? I mean, the oscillators are more, they're not a buy signal right here because there was no reversal, but that's definitely a bullish momentum and positive money flow. I'm not shorting this one. I think this is one that potentially could be making a move up here towards 24. Yeah, I mean, even the 1-hour chart has a tight take profit high at 23. I like what I'm seeing here. 1-hour chart getting to close to a sell signal, but not officially doing it. That money flow is still positive, still a positive oscillator. We do have a red reversal dot, but I would say, guys, there's a good chance, very good chance we make a move at least back up towards $24 first, coming all the way back out to the daily chart. What would that mean for us? Yeah, a wick on a daily chart, maybe right there, but a rejection on our smart trail. This still is something until we close a daily candle above this smart trail and get some longer term momentum. It's still a good level of resistance, but for now, it does look like I would not be shorting Injective today. I know there's been a lot of other coins we've taken a look at that I would have shorted. Injective is not one of them. I'm going to be a little more patient on that one. And there's a chance, again, if you own Injective, like I own a small bag of Injective, you let that sucker ride, we might be able to take off all the way up to, again, low 30s, like $32. And if that prediction plays out, again, up over 38, I think we're talking about 40s, somewhere in the 40s. I can't remember the exact number, but somewhere in the 40s, that would be a good level to take some profit, look for another dip over the long term.
Now, Tim, I have some Injective. I haven't made any more allocations to it, but I have it. and I haven't sold it, and I don't plan on selling. I think Injective is one of those really nice layer 1 plays that's going to get some adoption for sure. So, Tim, I think we're looking good. We're ready to go into bro time in Discord. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to take all of this conversation and more, probably do some Pepe TA as well, Green Thanos, down in the, sorry, that was kind of cruel, in the Discord bro time. So join us there, and we're going to go ahead on into there. So, Tim, lead us out.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you have not done already, smash the like button. We never got close to 600 likes today. That's okay. We're going to T-Shroom and Crux will be back tomorrow. We'll try again tomorrow.
Oh, we're going to get it tomorrow.
With that said, the rest of you here on YouTube, I'll be making a video for the morning, so I will be making a morning video tomorrow, but then I'm flying out to California, so I will not see you in live shows the rest of the week. I'll be back Monday. Love you guys. Come join us on Discord. We're going to have some fun. Adios.